Welcome to another How Healthy Are You weekly educational podcast. My name is Dr. Thomas Brewer. I'm a PhD chemist and nutritional blood microscopist. In this podcast, I'm going to be talking about immune suppression and a food you can eat to boost your immune system. This is something different than vitamin D or zinc because it's an actual food. And the other is about avocados and their link to cancer risk. So we're going to start with immune suppression. Now, you can suppress your immune system due to stress, and the two types of stress are physical or psychological stress, and both of them can decrease your immune system. It turns out that there is a special kind of fiber in nutritional yeast, and that fiber is known as beta-glucan. Now, I believe I talked about this in the past, and this nutritional yeast is sometimes known as Brewer's yeast. I like that term because my last name is Brewer. It's also sometimes called baker's yeast, but it's a very nutritional yeast, and this beta-glucan is very beneficial in improving our immune system. Now, all that's needed is about 2 teaspoons a day. 1 teaspoon a day didn't seem to provide as much benefit, at least based on the research articles I've looked at. And also, if you exercise, you get an additional boost to your immune system. So 2 teaspoons per day of this nutritional yeast, sometimes known as Brewer's yeast, along with a little bit of exercise. Now, what it doesn't do is it doesn't increase your white blood cell activity. The best way to do that, which also increases your immune system, is to take your plant-based sterols, or the product is called Sterile Max. That is something I recommend, especially if genetically you don't have large or active white blood cells. But the beta-glucan in the nutritional yeast, it will decrease your cold and flu symptoms. So should you get sick, your symptoms are less. So these bad symptoms and the sneezing and the coughing and the runny nose and even fever is minimized, and then your time away from work is minimized, as well as your comfort level, right? So you go through a lot less discomfort. So like I had said, most of us know about vitamin D and zinc, and we've probably heard more than we need to hear about vitamin D and zinc in relation to other viruses, which I won't mention. But baker's yeast or brewer's yeast is really something high on the list for increasing the immune system. You combine that with Sterile Max and some vitamin D and zinc, and you'll have a dynamite immune system. Now, this is a product I really need to carry, and I believe I talked about this before, and it's something I'll be looking into throughout the summer, finding the best one and finally carrying it. But I have been so busy getting my new website up and running that carrying brewer's yeast was lower on the priority list, but now it's gone back to the top. Okay, the other topic is about avocados and the cancer risk link to avocados. And so it's good news. It's not that avocados cause cancer, but this all started because avocados, when consumed by livestock or the leaves of the avocado is consumed by livestock, it turns out that avocados make this natural protection molecule that tends to hurt these the livestock's mammalian cells, so it's bad for the mothers, the livestock mothers in giving birth, and it's bad for the milk and things like that. So there was this chance that avocados may be bad for cancer. They may induce it. And when they looked at avocado extracts in a petri dish, not in a person's body, but in a laboratory setting, it was not promising. It seemed like avocados would induce cancer. Well, it turns out in the body, it's just the opposite. Avocados are very good at inhibiting cancer. So not only do avocados improve your artery function, they're anti-inflammatory, they even lower your cholesterol. But the big thing is, at least for men, it reduces, or at least avocados reduce your risk of prostate cancer. And it's very significant, about a 50% reduction in your risk for prostate cancer. And the dosage is just half an avocado a day, which I've always promoted. It tends to be a lot of fat when you eat a whole avocado a day. And when I look at someone's blood that's been eating a whole avocado a day, I typically see excess fat or chylus in their blood. But half an avocado a day is all you need for all of the health benefits without putting too much fat or chylus into your blood. So what avocados do is they inhibit cancer cell growth. And the fear was they may inhibit normal cell growth too, but they inhibit the cancer cell growth a lot more than the normal cell growth. So at the end, they inhibit cancer growth. So another good thing about avocados, and this is especially beneficial for those of you that eat a lot of meat or high-protein diet, and I've explained this before in seminars, but I don't think I've talked about this on a podcast. So when you eat a high-protein diet, especially animal-based proteins, you make something called paracresol, and you also make a lot of ammonia. So the proteins have nitrogen atoms, and as we digest the proteins and they break down to amino acids, the amino acids get metabolized, we make this paracresol, but we also make ammonia. And ammonia is always made when we're metabolizing proteins. And it's very toxic to the liver, so it's something the body has to break down. And most of the links between animal-based proteins and all of the problems associated with animal products is related to paracresol and ammonia formation. Now, you can get your proteins from plant-based sources, and what happens is you make a lot less paracresol, a lot less ammonia, and you get to reuse the protein over and over rather than a one-time and everything gets converted to paracresol and ammonia. So in our gut or in our intestines, we really don't want proteins to ferment, and you may have heard of this term called putrefaction. So putrefaction is when the proteins ferment in our intestines. Now, what we want fermenting there are the carbohydrates. We want carbohydrates to ferment, but we don't want proteins to ferment in our intestines. So this high-protein diet from animal sources, you make all this ammonia and paracresol, but that is reversed by eating avocados. So another benefit of avocados, not only for men with prostate cancer or men that want to inhibit prostate cancer, but for those of you that eat a lot of meat, it would be beneficial to eat about half an avocado a day. Okay, so remember, I'm going to be out of the office Thursday, May 13th through Tuesday, May 18th, so plan accordingly. And as always, thank you for listening, and please don't keep me a secret.